We're going live. Now, did you making the same thing?
It's all using the same exact stuff. All right. If you're seeing us right now, it means that we're back. And I apologize. You lost us. I know you're upset. We're blasting out a new link right now. Hopefully everyone gets it. But
Here's
yeah,
another one
technical
that says live
difficulties.
now.
Technical difficulties happen. You know, especially in Bantha. I don't think it would be right of us to have a flawless, perfect run here. But I'm going on to Geek Life right now and posting the new link. So
Posting a
geek
new
folk
link.
here, new link for y'all. There it is. All right. So now that the new link is up and running, and I think we're good to go. Our audio might be a little off today, but again, life goes on. I think it's time to officially start this show.
Okay. Well,
Because I've already dug into my Bantha milk here.
All right. Let's see. I just texted Tom again saying, "Can you find the new link and see if you can watch it?" So, yeah. So on YouTube, if you're watching it on YouTube, the audio may not match our lips, but that's okay. Just put a delay on or something, and you'll be fine. All right. Are you ready?
I was born that way, Robert.
Born ready. Intro music.
Wait, that's not it.
What? He's no good to me, Dad.
Intro music. Intro music.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
There it is.
There it is.
You know, we might need to update that intro music a little bit because it's all Mando centric, and we got to add some Book of Boba sort of
We
stuff
definitely.
going on. But
Well, we have McClunky in there.
that's true. That does kind of tie back, doesn't it?
Yes,
but,
it does.
We are back once again, and it's an exciting Bantha Milk podcast
Finally.
because we have some new live action
Yes.
content to
Very
talk about
exciting
today.
new live action content.
Yeah, so once again, Bantha Milk Podcast coming at you from Bantha Milk headquarters.
We're
Once
both
again,
in Bantha Milk
in the
headquarters.
same room, Rob. How are
We
you
are.
feeling?
I am much better than last episode. So, for those of you listening on the podcast, there was a recording, episode 52. We recorded on YouTube. Had a horrible echo.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So
We're
we
not
wound
perfect,
up
guys.
not getting it up onto the podcast because it was bad, and I didn't feel like spending 7 hours cutting out every single time I talked from one feed to put the other feed on there. So now we're trying it again. This is episode 53. So if you are wondering what happened to 52,
So what's great is when we're going to be like huge mega famous, that episode 52 will be like the lost episode.
the lost episode,
and
yes.
like we can really create demand and drive, like we can just like record it and put it onto a USB stick and leave it somewhere,
That's right.
and we can have a mad Star Wars-esque scavenger hunt
So
to find the lost episode.
Dan from Supreme Taco,
Ooh,
he
man, I'm
keeps he goes to Disneyland a lot. He lives in San Diego, drives up to LA, goes to Disneyland a lot. He keeps posting pictures on his Supreme Taco Facebook page. He puts a dime, or I think it was a dime, on top of a windowsill on Main Street, and then takes a picture of the window and says, "This is where the dime is. If you stop by, let me know if it's still there," which is pretty neat.
Sure.
So we can do that with a USB stick.
I like
we'll put
that.
a USB stick up on top and say, if you can find the lost episode,
It proves that you
it
were
proves
really
that you were
listening.
really there. So
I
we're
like
gonna
it.
we're gonna do that in Disneyland. So all we need now is for us to first download this show onto a USB stick, and then second go to Disneyland, which is clear across the country. So let's go. Start driving.
Yeah, but it's the weirdest thing that we haven't gotten our Patreon check for our. We've been talking about our Patreon and
Right.
people donating to it to get us to go out to these places.
Yes.
I don't think the check has come in the mail or something yet. It's just the strangest thing.
It is
anyway,
the strangest thing. Yeah.
Maybe our fans need like a refresher. Like maybe we need to tell them where they can donate all this money to us
So
and where they
let's
can interact with
let's
us.
do that, Nick. Why don't you start by telling all about all of our everything. Here we go.
Hey, if you're interested in more Star Wars info, want to chat, or even want to send us some Star Wars drink recipes, please be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms. You can catch us on Instagram and Facebook at Bantha Milk Podcast, Twitter at Bantha Milk. You can email us at banthamilkpodcast@gmail.com, or even check out our website, banthamilkpodcast.com.
And don't forget to check out our sister podcast over at the Ears Up Network. Our friends over at Ears Up help us a whole lot, so give them and their many shows a listen. Their shows include Ears Up in Depth, The Supreme Resort, and Scraping the Vault. Also be sure to check out their Patreon at patreon.com/ears with a Z up. For as little as $2 a month, you can help support our show. Any donations sent their way directly help us here at Bantha Milk Podcast and comes with great perks. So please check them out today.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little proud of the segue I made into that. It was very smooth.
It was very
fluid.
smooth. It was very
we do have to add
classic,
to that.
yes.
Our Sacred Jedi Text Facebook group, right? We
Yes.
have our Facebook group that is more active now than ever because we've got stuff to talk about. Finally, we've got new Star Wars content. So please check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Sacred Jedi Texts.
Yep, and it's a private group, but all that means is that you just have to answer questions and then you're allowed in. So join us.
Yeah, if you answer the
Please
questions
join us.
right, you're allowed in. If you answer them wrong, you're still allowed in. But we need to come up with punishment for that.
That's right.
Maybe you get the rank of Porg.
There. Oh yes, that would be a good one. Porg. Speaking of Porg, you already tapped into your Bantha
Oh yeah,
Milk.
so
I did not
we
yet.
spent about 30 minutes before this trying to figure out our technical issues, as we always do. So yeah,
Yes.
I had to crack into my Wild Turkey 101 that I got for Christmas, just a nice bottle of Wild Turkey 101. What do you got today, Rob?
I'm going back to an old favorite, Founders All Day IPA, because it's a light IPA. It's almost like a there we go. That
we
was a
almost
good one.
missed that, yeah.
I know. Whoa.
Oh no, Rob! That was good. You catch it? Catch most of it? I'm gonna watch. See, I'm actually watching the
I
stream.
caught most of it.
I'm watching the stream on my computer, so I'm excited. I'm gonna get to see the. Oh, so Rob's got to go clean himself off a little bit. He had a little bit of a all-day IPA explosion. I'm actually watching the playback on YouTube right now because I know what's about to happen. Again, this is like Spaceballs, right? Rob, don't worry. Oh no, Rob, watch yourself. It's about to. There it goes. Oh, no. Oh,
It's funny. Mine's a little delayed from yours also. So I just watched myself jump up out of the frame to keep it off of me.
That's great. Well,
That's funny. And then I'm gone.
Rob has got his all-day IPA
Yes.
as his Bantha Milk. We invite you all to crack a Bantha Milk yourself as we chat about.
Unless you're driving.
Yeah, right.
Don't drink and
Yeah, I
drive.
guess there's a lot of people who listen to podcasts while they drive, right?
Yeah.
So don't do that.
No.
Right?
Or in the morning. I don't know how many people like to drink in the morning.
I mean,
but-
listen, if it's a weekend and you got some mimosa and you want to
Yeah.
sit in your backyard and play some Bantha Milk while you watch the sun diddle about the sky,
sure.
then you're more than welcome. Otherwise, if you're driving, maybe just wait till you get home to crack
Wait till you
that
get
Bantha
home.
Milk.
Yeah, don't drink with us while you're driving, please. That would be bad.
No. But in the meantime,
we
had ourselves quite the episode. So
We sure did.
Today we are talking about the very premiere of a brand new piece of Star Wars work. It is.
Before we do that, I
okay,
just want to
go
talk
on.
about two things in the room that you haven't seen yet. Now,
Okay.
the people who were with us for the
Oh, that's right.
8-minute preview that came up and
You can
then
check that out on
disappeared. You can
YouTube.
check- yeah.
I'm sure there's like a little tiny video. We'll maybe leave that out there as like a blooper video.
So I started making my own Rebel pilot helmet here out of foam because I want to get into the 501st, and I want the 501st to laugh at me when I show them my foam helmets that I can make. But the good thing is, it's at least teaching me how to, construct stuff and use some of these products and things like that they would need when you buy the better stuff and you have to sand things down and blah, 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 whatever. So I made, Rob had an accident. So I made this out of foam. It's fun. I got some Bondo on here so far. This whole helmet so far cost me like $20 to make, but it's been hours of fun making it. I had no plans other than I used the same basic helmet mold that I used for my Mandalorian helmet over there, and then just looked at pictures to figure out how to make this look very similar to what I saw in the pictures. The top part here is like sticking out more, and I made the little ear cups here, and then the big thing on top, whatever. I don't even know what any of those things are called, but I made all this. So that was fun. And then this, should Rob keep growing the beard?
Oh yeah, we're polling the masses.
We are polling the masses. And then this is fun. Nick, do you remember we did an article on a guy who owned a thrift shop in like Ohio or something like that, where he had all these old paintings, and then
and he started Star Warsizing them.
He started Star Wars. Yes, can you look over your right shoulder, please?
Oh my gosh, how did I not see this when I walked in here?
I was waiting for you at some point to say something.
I literally just have been sitting here, and I had so if you're in the YouTube, right, and you want to go ahead and just take a look over my right shoulder here. So did you make your own here?
I made my own, yes.
That looks great.
So thanks. So down the street, somebody is moving out and had all their junk sitting out on the curb. And my wife and I were walking the dogs, and we walked past, and I was like, "Oh, I want to grab that dumb painting of a fox and a duck or swan or whatever, goose.
I think it's a duck of some sort. I don't know. Maybe a heron. No, not a heron. A capon, perhaps. I don't know.
A porg, a flying porg.
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I can do. I can put little porgs down on the bottom there.
Yeah, maybe just flying around there.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay. So before you came over today, printed out a couple of pictures of TIE fighters and glued them down to. It's just a print, so I don't even feel too bad about it. But it is signed and it's numbered. It's number 277 out of what does that say? 950.
950. Yeah.
So somebody made 950 prints of this fox and duck, and
it's Edward Beerley. Sorry about that, Ed.
Edward Beerley. I just Star Warized your painting. So there we go. So I wanted to talk about that before we got into why we're actually here, which is Star Wars news, right? No. The Book of Boba Fett came out today.
Yeah, grand premiere of the Book of Boba Fett. Star Wars is, I guess, what would this be, their second live-action television show now? Right? Mandalorian, the
on
Book of Boba
Disney
Fett.
Plus, yes.
What other
I mean,
ones?
not in the 80s, they had those Ewok mini movie
we're
things.
We're not gonna. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and
I mean,
pretend
they had
exist.
Wilford Brimley was in one of them.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. I mean,
That's 100% right.
You're taking credit away from Wilford Brimley.
Sorry, Wilford.
Yeah. So
My
So
bad.
their second one, the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, Chapter 1, which was Stranger in a Strange Land.
Stranger in a Strange Land.
So again, Rob and I have a way we do things, and number one, that way is we don't talk about it before we talk about it, right? Like we have this podcast. Why would we waste the good juice before we even get here, right? So we haven't chatted about it. I haven't even asked him if he liked it, what he thought, what were the good things, bad things, right? So I'm ready to go into a nice, fresh little chat here. Obviously, folks, I know it's been almost a year since we've done this.
Yeah.
There might be some mild spoilers as we discuss exactly what happened in this next
Spoiler
episode.
alert.
So if you have not seen Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land of the Book of Boba Fett, maybe press pause.
Watch it.
Maybe go watch it, and when you're done, you can come right back, and my lovely voice will be here, and I want to know that you actually came back. So when you come back, the password is Ewoks
are better than porgs.
Are better than I guess Ewoks are better than porgs, right?
There
Let me
we go.
know. Let me know that you actually came back, right? But either way, we will continue now and discuss, right? So Rob, let's just talk maybe first of all overall impressions. What do you think?
So overall impressions, well, and also according to IMDb, there's only 7 episodes.
Yes, I had heard that in the first season.
In the first season.
I think this is because I know Obi-Wan's going to be a limited series.
Right.
I think this is a serialized multi-season work, which is exciting to me. But yeah, only 7.
So it goes. This is going back to what we've discussed before about how we were disappointed with The Mandalorian being so short, being 30-minute episodes, being only 8 episodes long.
Right.
But then we also were like, okay, it kind of makes sense. It's like a 4-hour movie. So that way it's better than what a 2-hour movie would be because it's a 4-hour movie. So they're able to get more information out to you, make a better story because it's longer. But, I mean, I'm used to national television, NBC sitcoms, CBS sitcoms, whatever, that are 30-something 30-something episodes long.
Right.
Really wish Disney could make longer seasons.
Yeah, it's got to be like a budget thing, right? Because
Yeah.
like we're getting 24 season long, like The Bad Batch.
Right.
But we're not getting that because they're going. I mean, and they did it again. Obviously, they're going for movie level cinematography and stuff, and big budget stuff, and they are. But like, it's Disney. You're telling me Disney can't fork up more money to have a 15 episode season?
Yeah.
But to be fair, even like things like Better Call Saul,
right,
and stuff like that are going down to like a 10 episode sort of an arc. But I think Better Call Saul is like a 55-minute. Sort of thing.
they're like an hour-long show. Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, this one was 48 minutes, but...
Well, 38 minutes.
38
minutes. And the last, 6 were credits.
Right.
So
As always,
yeah. So
because
it was about
they include the credits on literally, like, every production team. So, like, every language they translate. Yeah. For whatever reason, Disney and Star Wars, very long credits.
So, but I appreciate the fact that they... And Jon Favreau said this in the first Mandalorian. They're going to make the episodes long enough to tell the story.
Sure.
So if it's 38 minutes, if it's 24 minutes, if it's 46 minutes, they're going to tell the story and make it long enough for that. So I like that.
Right.
So 38 was an odd number, but whatever. It was what it was. Other than that, I liked it. There was a lot of backstory. Now, Timo Morrison, we reported last week on the Lost episode that he said he doesn't want to tell too much about the second half of the episode because a big reveal will be made.
I guess he must have meant the second half of the chapter.
Of the chapter,
right?
Chapter 1.
Because this was Chapter 1, Part 1, maybe?
No, this was just Chapter 1. Yeah, and next week is called Chapter 2. So somewhere in the second half of this episode was a huge reveal. Now, I don't know if the huge reveal was that he survived.
I mean, that's kind of a given at this point. I think we learned that before the episode aired.
Yeah. So
that is there, and that is kind of like, and maybe we can talk about it now because like there was a lot of hype around the Mandalorian after the first episode came out, and I think that hype came from the twist. Right? It was a great show. It had a lot of tropes, but Baby Yoda made us go, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?"
Right, because we were looking for a 50-year-old.
Right.
Character,
whatever, and then we see
a 50-year-old baby.
We've never seen another alien like on screen like Yoda,
right.
And all of a sudden we know he's a baby. So like we had this hook, what is that? The mystery that people were talking about.
Yeah.
I thought this episode was great. I really enjoyed it. I think it's going interesting ways, but it didn't have that. It's not going to have people talking about something. Right.
There wasn't
next week until next week.
Yeah. There wasn't.
And there's nothing that Disney can sell yet. There's no little doll they can send us yet.
Except
the puppy, the mantis or whatever.
The massive.
Massive. That's what it is.
Yeah. No, but when they go to I was going to say casino. When they go to the one club that the female Twi'lek is the owner of, there were a whole bunch of droids in there.
Right.
Droids with like R2 units, but instead of having the rounded tops, they had the pointier tops.
Sure.
They looked very similarly designed to me to the droids that you can make in Disney. When you go to Disney World or Disneyland, there's a whole droid factory thing that you can go make your own radio-controlled droids. And the color schemes were very similar to that. So when I saw that, it made me laugh and think, Disney put their hands in on this and said, make sure that some droids in there have these colors on it.
Sure.
There's another droid in there, which also from Disney World. I don't know if you ever rode on Star Tours or not, but on Star Tours, the Star Tours used to have a pilot on RX droid that was the original pilot. When they redid it and have C-3PO as your pilot now, they took Rex out, and Rex is now in Olga's Cantina. He's now DJ Rex, but he was in that casino as well, in that bar as well. He was the one that was like dealing the card game or whatever it was. But that was DJ Rex or DJ RX. So while they don't have the Baby Yoda yet to sell, I think, especially in that scene, there was a bunch of little things that were like, oh, for the kids that want to build a droid in Disney,
Right.
they can build one that was in Boba Fett.
Right, sure.
Now, I don't know how many kids that are going to be building the droids want to build the exact same one, but adults go and want to build droids also, so they're probably going to want to build the droid from there.
Sure.
So maybe. But I did like the episode.
Yep.
I like the dual storyline of this first episode with the flashbacks, and I like how they did the flashbacks and the dream sequences.
Yeah, and I mean, we can kind of start at the beginning and kind of move through here.
So I have a rundown.
Of course you do. That's what
I do.
Rob does,
Yep.
right? I do have a quick shout out here. Excuse me, Maureen and Dan, two friends of mine, and two actually former students' parents who are listening right now. So,
excellent! Thank you. Hello.
Happy to have you here.
Yes.
Welcome to the madness that is Bantha Milk Podcast. So, Book of Boba Fett. We start, oddly enough, on Tatooine.
And we stay the whole time on Tatooine.
Yeah, we don't really go
leave
anywhere.
Tatooine.
We get
at
some
all.
flashes of other places,
Yeah,
but
so,
no, Tatooine is where it's at.
It's interesting. In the opening scenes, they have pictures of Jabba's palace, and it's almost like after closing time, like there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of empty scenes, and then they go upstairs.
The chairs are flipped.
Yeah. So there's a droid that's like sweeping up. There's two people waiting at the door because they left their keys inside. They can't figure out, whatever. And
Someone
then we
waiting for their Uber.
Waiting for their Uber. Yeah. Come on, where is this guy? And then they go upstairs and you see, which this is something that I wanted to talk about. You see Boba in the Bacta tank.
Yes.
Which is, going back to Luke Skywalker, going back to
Vader.
Finn, Vader, all these people who've been in Bacta tanks.
A lot of Bacta tank imagery for sure.
So we see the Bacta tank. One other thing before we get to that, the throne chair that Boba Fett sits in.
Yes.
The writing all over it, it says Boba Fett over and over again, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah, because we saw Bib Fortuna sitting in it. So, question, did Boba Fett make it, give it to Jabba, and they just had it in storage?
Or maybe Boba moved in and he just carved his name or had someone carve his name into it?
I don't know. But it says Boba Fett over and over and over again.
Interesting.
So then he's in back to the Bacta tank. So we see him in the Bacta tank.
The Bacta is where he has all of his flashbacks.
Right. So
anytime he's having flashbacks to pretty much anything, whether it be the kind of timeline that we follow, or else in this first one we have a flashback to Kamino. Actually, we have a couple of flashbacks to we have a Kamino and Geonosis, right? So we get a shot of where Boba grew up, and where he spent most of his life, and then we get a little shot of him caressing what I can only assume is his father's decapitated head inside of that helmet.
So when they showed that scene, all I could think of was that meme that you sent of his head falling out of the helmet, and I'm watching it and I'm going, where's his head?
My only guess is that the lightsaber somehow cauterized the neck onto the sides, so it just kind of stayed in there.
So it melted it into the helmet.
Yeah, so
but
it's just
then if it melted it, it's the same. It's his helmet. I'm pretty sure he took his dad's armor
and painted it. Yeah.
Right, he took his dad's armor and
so
painted it.
he would have had to gouge out the sides, like how like
gross.
Yeah. Anyway,
gross.
we're getting a little graphic here, but anyway, so we have the flashbacks to Geonosis, we have the flashback to Kamino, and then we have our big flashback that pretty much everyone's been waiting for, which was the Sarlacc pit, right?
Yes. So how does he get out of the Sarlacc pit?
And I'm glad they didn't dwell on it too much. It didn't need to be some crazy like, oh, he found that stormtrooper and then he put on his suit and he convinced the Sarlacc that he answered his riddles 3. No, it didn't have to be this long thing. It's just he found some air. He used his fire and he crawled his way out.
So back to what I was tracking in the first season of Mandalorian.
We got our first flamethrower.
Flamethrower.
Oh yeah, Dave
Flamethrower
Filoni and Jon Favreau can't go 10 minutes in anything with Star Wars, I guess, without a flamethrower.
Without a flamethrower. So there we go.
But it's what all of us have been waiting for since we were kids watching Boba Fett, is just show me more flamethrower. I see it on his wrist.
Yep.
Give it to me.
Give it to me. So there's been multiple different stories in Legends now,
right,
of how he escaped.
Yeah.
Like the books that I read, he used the rocket launcher on his jetpack to blow it up from the inside.
Right.
In the comics, 1996, A Bear Like That comic book, Boba psychically communicates with another Sarlacc victim, tricking the beast into dominating his still-attached jetpack on the other victim. Boba then throws grenades to blast his way free. In the Book of Boba Fett, the swallowed bounty hunter simply ignites the Sarlacc's innards using his flamethrower. So, in the comics, he communicated with the Sarlacc.
He chatted with him.
He chatted with him.
Right. Hey, dude, can you this hurts. This burns a little. Can you maybe let me go?
In the books that I read, he used the jet rocket launcher and launched himself out of it.
Which I wish he did more this time, because there were several times in this episode where
he could have
used the jetpack, brother. Anyway,
we'll get to that. Yeah, because I was like, jetpack.
Yep.
So this is cool. Like, and instead he just burns the thing to death with his flamethrower.
Well, it kind of brings a couple things about. Number one, the whole episode kind of highlighted Boba's transformation. Like, when he is in, Return of the Jedi times, he's still Boba Fett, the bounty hunter. And, like, when he fights, and I knew when we saw the Sand People and talk about that, I knew that there was going to go through some transformation, because when we see him in The Mandalorian, we see him with a gaffy stick.
Yeah.
So, like, everything about this kind of episode is like, all right, introducing the fact that I am different now than I'm going to be. And these two flashbacks are different people. Right? We have the present day Boba and the Boba that just got dumped in the Sarlacc, and they're two different people.
Yes.
One probably went through a whole bunch of stuff in that 5 years or whatever.
Right.
So I think a lot of this season is going to be exploring that, and how he changes, and how his time with the Sand People
has changed his perspective. Yeah.
And we get a lot of that going on, and I'll talk about that as well.
Yes. So when he escapes the Sarlacc pit.
First of all, when he's in the Sarlacc, that's pretty. They made that pretty terrifying.
That was,
like, really claustrophobic.
Uh-huh.
They really gave the sense of, like, you can't move,
and you could hear the.
Yeah, there was like and aside from that, like, you saw, like, the smoking of whatever acids were.
The acids burning off his armor and stuff.
And I don't 100% understand how that stormtrooper was there.
So,
because there weren't stormtroopers on the sail barge.
No. So
he must have been there from before, but he's already down there. So how did he get so far down? Do you think that maybe they just get down to a point?
They probably,
that's it,
and then they just sit at that point
until you die.
Until the acids erode everything away.
So maybe like 2 days before that, Jabba found some stormtroopers that angered him, and he was like, "All right."
Yep. So thereby showing that Jabba and the Empire didn't always get along.
Which makes sense too, right? Because we see that there is some sort of relationship between the crime lords and local government.
Yes, I like that scene. That's a fun scene.
By the way, Avengers Hockey is saying that we should test out my cauterization theory using your Mando helmet.
Oh, sure. You pull out the lightsaber.
Cut off your head.
Get the lightsaber. You have to do it with a lightsaber, though.
Oh,
so if you don't have a lightsaber, then I'm out.
Sorry, Avengers Hockey.
It was a good
Reese
idea.
is here too. Reese says Sarlacc guts are quite yucky. Thanks for joining us, Reese. Nice to see you, man. But yeah, he didn't have a good time in that belly.
No, not at all.
But he punches his way out.
He punches his way out, and then we see in the background Jabba's barge is sitting at the edge of it still after they blew everything up.
All sorts of
mangled and decrepit. Yeah.
So I wonder how long he was down there. Right, because I had to kind of remind myself during all the flashback scenes, like, this is like, while this is happening, like, Luke's probably on Endor or something, or like, so I wonder if we'll see at some point in these flashback scenes a shift, and because Tatooine's in the outer reaches, and they don't really get what's going on in galactically until well after.
Right.
So I'm wondering if maybe towards the end of the season we'll see. Oh, the Empire fell, and we'll start to see some of those repercussions as well.
Could be, because when we're seeing present day,
the Empire has
they're using Republic coins.
Right, because we're 5 years post-Empire at this point, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice the coins they used.
The coins, the coins had little Rebel logos on them, and the helmet and stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
So something else that Screen Rant noticed
Okay.
was Book of Boba Fett retcons a George Lucas special edition change. Now, I don't know if they really retconned it or if it's just because the thing is now dead, but when George Lucas redid the special edition in the Sarlacc pit, it had this like mouth in the middle, like
Right. Yeah, the little beak.
beak that
Right.
came out. So in this, when he comes out, you don't see the beak anymore. Now, it could be because he burned the thing to death and the beak just falls down.
Or maybe the beak is retractable.
Right.
It doesn't spend all of its time out. It just feeds out.
Yeah. So
Almost
that's,
like, you know how an octopus has that little beak? Maybe it just kind of sits at the bottom and then it can
yes.
do it. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it was something along those lines.
So another shout out, my boy Brendan is also in the chat. Got to get them hogs in is all I'm going to say to my friend Brendan out there.
Okay, Brendan.
Nice to see you, Brendan. Tell your friends, tell your fellow cheese cats to follow me here. We have a decent amount of people watching us. Welcome
that.
one and all. Just as if you are catching us live, right? We are breaking down the Book of Boba Fett, episode number 1.
Numero uno.
Chapter number 1, A Stranger in a Strange Land. And so far, not much has happened because we haven't gotten that far because we banter a lot.
We do a lot of bantering.
But yeah, he's made his way out.
He made his way out, and then he's laying there in the hot sun, and Jawas come by and save the day.
Yes.
Well,
what's funny too is in every, I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau really like Ewoks.
I think
because their big thesis so far between these two shows is don't mess with Ewoks
or Jawas.
Or Jawas. I'm sorry, Jawas.
Yeah.
Right. Because whatever.
Yes.
Jawas will mess your day up.
Jawas will mess your day up.
You think like you see him and you think about Spaceballs, dink dink,
Ding,
dink
ding,
dink
ding,
dink
ding,
dink dink. But then they'll put you on your ass.
They
and
sure
you're
will.
in trouble.
They just stripped his armor, but they left his boots on.
They did.
They left his
Good
boots
for,
on.
That was nice.
It was nice of them.
The sands of Tatooine are pretty hot.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Tucson's. I've walked on the Jersey Shore from the over the dunes.
Okay.
And as a kid, I grew up at the beach, and I know that feeling of bravado where you go, I can make it to the beach barefoot.
And then you're like, oh gosh, yeah. I tried to play volleyball one time in Ocean City. They have beach courts on the left side of the boardwalk. The ocean is on the right. The beach courts are on the left side, and nobody ever goes there. And whatever. You step down on that sand. We all went to the dollar store on the boardwalk to buy socks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that we could play in socks.
Sure.
So yeah. So
Yeah, I
thank
get
goodness
that.
they let him keep his shoes on. Otherwise, the bottom of his feet would be blistered.
Another thing that made me laugh during this whole scene of them dragging him through the desert, basically. I don't know if you recall the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie
Oh yeah.
with Ivan Ooze.
Okay. I don't remember Ivan.
Okay,
But
so to those of you who are not as plugged into 1990s pop culture as I was as an 11-year-old child.
yeah, I was gonna say I was very
those
into
of
the
you who are-
90s.
Those of you who in the 90s were maybe more into Nirvana than Power Rangers.
Yeah, I was into Nirvana. I wasn't into the
Yeah.
Power Rangers in the 90s.
So during this movie, Zordon, who is like the big like mentor of them all, this big head in a big like chamber, he gets damaged, and so he turns out to be just this weird, ugly-looking bald dude.
Okay.
And this is exactly what Boba Fett looks like during this. He's like pasty white,
Yeah.
all bald, and he's in this weird jumpsuit.
Yeah, like a white,
like a onesie.
almost like underwear.
Yeah.
like a onesie underwear,
like an old-timey underwear, like from the 1920s.
right with a flap in the back so that he can sit down on the toilet.
And for half the episode, this crime lord / the character that we all thought was the most BA person in the world for 30, 40 years
Yes.
is just being dragged around the desert in a onesie.
In a onesie, in his underwear onesie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which also kind of harkens back to there was like a news article that came out this week wherein one of the original creators of Boba Fett was criticizing the direction of the character.
Okay.
Because he said, "Oh, if it were up to me, I would never have removed the helmet because the helmet adds such mystery and complexity." And I say, bite me, because it's like I get what you're saying, but like this is Star Wars is an alive thing now. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a living sort of.
Yeah.
There's new stories being created and added. It's the fan base wants backstory. We want to know who's behind. So like, I guess to a certain point, it's like, oh, but like the point of a show about Boba Fett is we want to know more about this interesting and enigmatic character that we've known for all these
Yeah.
years. I guess his theory would be you shouldn't know more about him, which is like
Right. And also, I guess maybe, I don't know. I mean, because now we recognize Timo Morrison as Boba Fett, where he was the voice of all the clones, so of course he's going to be Boba Fett. But we had Jeremy Bulloch as Boba Fett. We had the guy that we had on the show with 3 first names. He was Boba Fett for one episode. There were stunt people who were, characters as Boba Fett as well.
right.
So I guess what he's trying to say is like, Boba Fett is above a actual person.
Right.
So whatever. But I don't mind it.
Me neither.
I don't mind that he takes his helmet off. I'd rather see his face and know that Timo Morrison is actually doing it rather than with the Mandalorian where it could be anybody who has the same build as whatever the Mandalorian's real name is. What's the guy?
Din Djarin.
Yeah, but not Din. What's Din Djarin's?
Oh wow, that's gonna annoy me.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay.
That's gonna annoy me. Pedro Pascal.
Pedro
Wow,
Pascal,
How did
yeah.
that not come to me? I have to do a quick shout again. My dad's apparently watching. My dad doesn't even. So, Dad, if you're watching right now and you haven't watched, he did watch The Mandalorian.
Okay.
But I don't know that he's watched the Book of Boba Fett. Dad, go watch. You have my Disney Plus login. Go watch the Book of Boba Fett.
The login for all of you, the rest of you listening.
That's
it's,
right. So along with my ATM pin. Anyway. So we were talking about the
yes.
episode.
So
and
then he gets abducted by the Tusken Raiders. So Dad, if you're watching or listening to us right now or watching us
you're
right
getting
now,
some spoilers, man.
you're gonna get some spoilers, but it's definitely still worth watching. So he gets abducted by the Tusken Raiders, and then he gets stuck to a stick. But then we flash back forward again to now when he's meeting all the people that are coming to pay tribute to him.
Right. So we left the back to tank.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we get our shot of
Him dressing.
him getting all dressed, and he's got all these robots that are literally just there to get his armor on, which I think it's pretty rad the way they kind of do it.
Yeah.
And did you notice that very clearly in the past year they said to Tamir Morrison, "Listen, the dad bod is nice, but it's not going to do it.
It's not Boba Fett bod. Yeah.
Like because he had very clear dad bod. That was like the big thing was the dad bod." Vibe
Dad
he got.
bod Boba Fett,
and
yeah.
he is flat as an
Yep,
ironing
he has
board.
definitely worked out a little bit since
I think
the end of the
I think
Mandalorian.
that's what that scene. I think when we were watching it, my Pagan, who is a Bantha Milk all-star at this point, I think she said, "All right, so we needed this scene to show that he's not he lost some weight.
He lost some weight. And also, did you notice? And we saw it at the end of the season, of the end of the Mandalorian. Also, the color scheme is slightly different
than
what it was
for his armor.
For his armor,
Okay.
His armor color scheme is different. It's more his jumpsuit that he wears is black where before
yes.
it was gray.
You mean in the older?
Yeah, when he was on Empire, and,
right?
and
Yes.
Return of the Jedi.
And so what's interesting too. So I don't want to interrupt, but you mentioned his jumpsuit. When I was growing up, I never noticed the fact that the armor was just like pieces of metal on top of like a sweatsuit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, so I appreciate the fact that they observed that and went, yeah, we can probably maybe polish this up a little bit.
Yeah. So black, brown boots. The color schemes was a little bit more orange in the knee guns compared to the yellow of before. I think it pays tribute to his time with the Tuskens. If you think back to the Tusken leader and his wife who beat him up in the one scene,
right?
That's the same color scheme that those Tuskens have.
Yeah.
So I feel that it's an homage to the Tuskens, and we'll probably see it would be pretty cool to see some Tuskens working with him in the future.
And this is jumping a little ahead, but it ties in here. You know, the big theme of this first episode, I think, is his approach, and I think his time. We'll find in the next couple episodes that his time with the Tusken Raiders informs that a lot, because several times throughout just you're talking about we're moving into this part of the episode where they're doing the paying homage, and we got to talk all about that because lots of stuff happened. But the big thing, I think, the big revelatory thing there that's gonna have an impact on his character is how he treated the Gamorreans.
Right.
Because Fennec clearly said, "Hey, we should kill these two, and you need to lead with an iron fist." And that's going to be another thing that's going to be a battle all season.
Right.
Is how you lead. But it was, "Hey, I want to lead with respect," and we just learned that apparently Gamorreans, they respond to that.
They respond to respect, yes.
Because they were
They're
loyal
slow,
to Jabba.
But they're...
Yeah, they could have been there a little earlier, maybe.
Been there a little earlier.
But they were loyal to Jabba. They were loyal to Bib Fortuna, and Boba saw that and went, "All right, well, clearly they're loyal."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, we'll be loyal."
Yeah, we'll be loyal to
and
you.
it paid off.
Yeah, and it definitely paid off.
That clearly comes from his time with the Tuskens, because later on in the episode we see him talking to the people at that club you were talking about, and he says, if you learn their ways, it will go easier for you.
Yeah.
And that...
She said that to him at first.
Right.
We're talking about, be more like Jabba.
Exactly. But he is using it in a way to connect with the people, and that clearly comes from his time with the Tusken Raiders, which is pretty interesting considering how we see Din Djarin and his time with the Tuskens, and he communicates with them.
Yes.
So I think we're going to see some really interesting stuff with the Tusken Raiders, and I think that chief, whoever that dude with all the you can pretty clearly see the hierarchy in the Tusken Raiders.
Yes.
The cooler looking you are, probably the higher
higher you rank. Yes. So I definitely think the chief is going to have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So the people that came to pay homage to him or to give him tribute. So the first one that showed up was the Aqualish, and when he's first standing there, didn't it look like he was holding a casserole in his hand?
A little. That's funny you say that, because I think Pagan literally said, "Here, I made this for you. You can put it in your fridge."
Welcome to the neighborhood. I made you.
This is my wife's famous hot dog mac and cheese. It's a Rachel Ray recipe.
There's 14 different cheeses in it.
And she makes it with beer.
It's
real
delicious.
Good.
It's really good.
The trick is you got to caramelize the onions first. So anyway, good on this guy.
Yeah,
bringing him a nice.
So he brings him a nice casserole,
which
you open up and is full of coins, which is a better casserole than I guess a hot dog mac and cheese casserole will be.
Yes.
The second guy is a Trandoshan, which
although my wife makes a great hot dog mac and cheese.
Okay.
Legit outstanding. One of my favorite things she makes.
There you go. Well, shout out to Pagan.
Yes, indeed.
The second guy is a Trandoshan, who, by the way, was played by the director of this show,
who Rob is looking up right now.
I'm trying to find his name. Darn it, Robert Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez. All right. Well, and just an interesting note about Trandoshans, because Trandoshans are one of those characters and species in Star Wars that's been around for a long time. I really like that they're keeping true to how these alien species are supposed to be.
Yes.
Because the whole Trandoshan thing, and I think probably the first Trandoshan we see in the series is, what's the Bosk?
Bosk.
His name? Yeah, Bosk. Yeah. So the bounty hunter Bosk is our first intro into Trandoshans, and much like anything in Star Wars, it was hey, 1982. Let's make a funny looking alien that looks like a lizard.
That looks like a lizard. A
and
lizard
now,
alien
sudden,
person. Yeah.
It turns into this big thing. But since then, we learn that Trandoshans are this interesting race that have this honor code, and their whole thing is about the hunt, and they're always looking to hunt that next big game.
Yep.
And so it was cool to see this Trandoshan who's like a political leader, and Boba said something Trandoshans, even when they're welcoming you or something,
it still sounds like a threat
or something.
So may you never leave Mos Espa.
Yes, that's what it was, right? So it's cool that they're again. I think that Jon Favreau and definitely Dave Filoni played some Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic, and read their books and did their. And you might notice I have a shirt here that says Mos Eisley. I know it's not Mos Espa, but
right, but it's still the same town or same planet.
Yes.
And I didn't know what he brought. I was like, what is all that fur that he brought?
I thought it might be a Wookiee pelt.
Yeah, it was a Wookiee pelt.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then when I read about it, and then I looked the second time, and you could see legs and arms.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a Wookiee
Pagan
pelt.
said the same thing. Is like here's just this random rug. I'm like, I think that's a Wookiee pelt.
Yeah, I thought it was a like a Bantha tail or something
Sure.
like that. I was like, oh, he's bringing him a Bantha tail. I don't know what the symbolism of that is, but okay.
And they use the word daimyo several times, right? So I guess we learned today that daimyo was what Jabba was, the daimyo.
The daimyo.
And that's like the crime lord.
Yes,
right?
he's like the Godfather.
Right, exactly.
Godfather.
The Godfather. You could have been wait, not that. Could have been a contender or something else.
That was
right?
That was a completely different. Yeah.
Right, so what's Godfather?
Godfather is I made him an offer he
He
couldn't
couldn't refuse.
refuse.
That's right. Take the gun, take the canola, or leave the gun, take the canola. That's right.
And then we see the mayor comes in. Well, not really the mayor.
No, his major domo.
His major domo shows up.
His right hand man, his guy Friday.
So he was funny because he was like, they were like, oh, we were under
Was
the
he another
impression.
Twi'lek?
He was a Twi'lek.
Okay, I thought so.
It was played by David Pasquale.
Okay.
And he was in Veep and Curb Your Enthusiasm and Groundhog Day. So he's a pretty established comedic actor.
Sure.
And I liked his mannerisms. He was very over the top.
Did some. So I think that he was very clearly trying to like portray this like showy politician. Like this is clearly the major domo, the mayor, which means he's the one who interfaces with the public.
Right.
So he's like putting on this show of being affable and
royalty.
friendly but like at the same time, these veiled threats of you can expect another delegation. like we're not done with you yet, Fett.
Yep.
You know, like
he was like, oh, I can see how you would be confused by our correspondence that you would think the mayor would come, but I'm here.
Right.
And then he's like, well, where's the tribute to us? The mayor just says that, he's not going to give you any. And that's when Fennec says, you'll be sent to Jabba's menagerie for threats like that.
that's true.
Which, everybody's like, oh, well, we know about the one Rancor, but apparently
There's
Jabba
got to be more. Yeah,
had
apparently.
multiple different
Menagerie is, it gives the impression of there's got to be more than
There's
just
gotta
one.
be more than just one.
Right. Which again, they've got to be there still, right? So maybe we'll get to see some of Jabba's menagerie.
Yeah, maybe there's somebody still hidden downstairs or left over.
Not the Rancor, though.
Not the Rancor.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Because we saw what was his trainer's name?
Oh, that's gonna annoy me.
We saw him crying. But yeah, so then I did like the major
Malaki.
domo. Yes, he was crying. He was sad.
Malakili, that's what it is. So Reese jumped into the conversation because we were chatting about the Tusken Raiders. He says, I love how the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett are diving into the culture of the Tusken Raiders. I have to think, excuse me, wild turkey. I have to think that their experience with Boba influences their interaction with Mando. So that's something I didn't think about, is that they're interacting with Boba, let's call it 5 or 6 ABY.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see Mando interact with them until, let's say, 5 or 6 years later.
Yeah.
So maybe their interaction with with Din when he's giving them some sign language and stuff is informed by the fact that they already over the past years have cultivated some sort of a relationship with another Mandalorian.
Sure.
You never know. That's a pretty interesting thought.
Or
I never thought about.
even just over the time that between the two of them together, they've established a good here and there and back and forth.
I think it's safe to say that like the thesis around the Tuskens is not necessarily that these two interacted with the Tuskens and that makes it's that everyone sees them as animals and sees them as others, but they're not. They're different.
They're different. Yeah.
And these are two characters that we've seen so far that have approached them in that way and not just as bad.
Yeah, because when we saw whatever the idiot's name was from Fennec Shaw's episode of The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah, that guy who, like, badmouthed Star Wars afterwards.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I forget what his name was.
Yeah, but he was like, they're jerks, they're blah, blah, blah. And that's when Mando was like, well, they think you're the jerk and you're blah, blah, blah. So, so they're at least showing us other ways around that the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders, may not be all that bad. They're just misunderstood.
Sure.
So then we go in. Then
Toro Calican.
Toro
Sorry,
Calican,
man.
yeah.
That was going to annoy me. But Jake Cannavale was the guy who played Toro
yes,
Calican.
and I wonder what he's been in since then.
Let's see. Not much.
Not much.
Maybe you don't badmouth
Yeah.
the Disney overlords after they give you a spot.
They give you a nice spot.
Yeah,
and-
2019, The Mandalorian. And he's not been anything since 2019. So
good
if
for
you're
him.
listening, Jake Cannavale, don't be such a jerk.
Yeah, man. So then we see Boba Fett strolling through town. We see some gonk droids and some oversized droids and things like that all around. Oh, and then did you see the dog-like droids that were walking around and doing a little dance type thing in the?
Which one?
There were 4 of them. The lady was like herding these 4 droids.
Okay, I don't think I caught that.
As they were walking in before they went to the bar that Max Rebo was in, there were these 4 dog-like droids that were like prancing around.
Okay.
They're real droids by Boston Dynamics.
It's those weird-looking Boston Dynamic dog droids.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
yeah, I've seen they actually use those droids for like police work and stuff. It's the strangest thing.
they're definitely they're starting to use them more and more, and they have like humanoid versions also, and they were showing like videos of like showing how they react.
Right.
And it was crazy because this one guy had like a hockey stick, and the droid was picking up a box, and he hits it with a hockey stick and knocks it out of his hand.
Okay.
And the droid like stops and realizes that it's missing, and then bends back down, picks it back up again. He hits it out of his hand again. You're like, you start to feel bad for the
Sure,
droid. You're like,
sure.
stop torturing this droid. And then they're trying to like knock it over, and it's showing like how it can adjust its balance and stuff.
So
like
is
that.
it literally just like a cameo for Boston Dynamics?
Pretty
Just
much,
to,
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty rad. That's cool.
So they've been doing. They did like a halftime show at either a college football game or college basketball game
was
recently.
it the droid that literally does flips and stuff and like does obstacle courses? Because Boston Dynamics has
maybe.
a droid that does
Yeah.
obstacle courses.
Yeah.
It literally does flips and runs. It's out of
It's
this world.
unbelievable. Yeah. So they're definitely Boston Dynamics is going to have these droids that take over the world.
So
But yeah.
I don't want to distract too much from it, but we have a comment on our YouTube channel, and I just want to point to it. It says, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so hot." Especially the guy in the glasses, right?
Oh wait, let me
So-
put my glasses back on.
That's right.
Must
There
have
it
been
is.
talking about me.
Must have been.
Must have been talking about me.
I don't know who that is.
Oh wait, let me see the name here. What
No,
does it
it's
say?
okay.
That's
Don't worry
weird. It
about
has
it.
a
It's
similar
okay. It's all
similar
right.
name to one of our hosts
No,
who
don't
happens
even,
to wear glasses.
Don't even worry about that.
Yeah,
But thank you very much to that random and completely unsolicited
Yeah.
YouTube user
Yeah.
for your enjoyment of our
Thanks
show.
for smashing the like, subscribe,
Smash,
and,
like, comment, subscribe
yep,
down
comment
here below.
down
right?
below, do all that good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so we see the Boston Dynamic droids. We see him. Then he walks into the bar that we talked about numerous times. Max Rebo's in there, so he's out of.
Is that Max Rebo? Are
that's
we
the-
sure?
I mean, how many other Blue Elephant people do you know that play pianos?
I mean, it's Star Wars. There could be others. I don't
There
want to.
could be
I don't want to
others.
like say that all Blue Elephant people look alike.
Well, yeah. I mean, all Yodas look alike. Well, there's
I mean,
only
there's only 2 so far. That
two
we know
or
of. And
three,
Yaddle, so
yeah,
that's 3.
yeah.
But I loved the
so-
band. Like it
yes.
just tickled me.
So everybody says that it's Max Rebo. Hopefully it is. Rebo's band was rocking Jabba's palace, and now he's back. And the other guy, there was a droid playing drums. By the way, I don't know if you saw that or not. That was pretty
That's
funny.
what you see. I actually have written in my notes. Band ! And I write these things down going, I hope later I remember what I was thinking. I didn't until you just mentioned that.
There you go.
The Droid Drummer
The Droid
was
Drummer.
my favorite part. It was so funny seeing that little R2
The little-
unit
with the little
like the
thing.
little
Uh-huh.
like all
one was
different
coming out of his
setups.
head. He was like drumming out of his head.
It was
pretty funny.
perfect.
Yeah.
I need a couple of those for my band. I think.
Yes. So here are all the people. Madame Garcia's sanctuary. Madame Garcia Whip's sanctuary boasts his own
Garcia
collection.
Whip, that's
Garcia
right.
Whip. Boasts his own collection of species and robots from Star Wars history. An RX pilot droid from Star Wars Rebels is acting as a croupier, which is the one that I was saying was also in Star Wars. While a Hasek serves drinks to a C-3PO meets RA-7 protocol droid. R4 and R5 units are busily assisting customers, which includes an advocate recognizable by the horn, a Melbu, first featured in Solo: A Star Wars Story, who's loitering outside the Neiman outpost, constable, and a group of Jawas. So those are some of the people that we saw in the cantina.
All right.
And then we saw the it was funny when she was like, "Oh, should we take your helmets to polish them up?" That was a great line.
Honestly, yeah. Well, it did seem like a little bit of a double entendre there.
Yeah.
But also, like when they did that, I'm like, it doesn't seem smart to give your Mandalorian helmet to this random person.
No.
And then when they brought him back, I'm like, oh, I guess I get it now.
I get it now, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but-
she was funny. She was like, "Yours seem more shinier than
Yes,
mine."
but I didn't even really notice. Because the problem is I was writing notes. So like
Okay.
I look up, I see coins. I look down, and then Fennec has her helmet on, and in the next scene, I'm like, but what about the coins? And Pagan was watching next to me. She goes, oh no, that was the joke.
Yeah,
She didn't have the coins. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
that makes sense, yes.
But Reese says apparently when the music was playing, and I actually did have to stop and turn on the subtitles, and it was when they said the word daimyo.
Okay.
I realized I didn't have the subtitles on, and I always like to watch these, especially new things with subtitles on, so I don't
Yes.
miss anything.
Uh-huh.
But he says apparently Disney subtitles called the music Cantina Variation,
Oh, okay.
which to me, as a learned musician, says that it is a variation on the Cantina
The
band.
original Cantina band.
Right, so
Okay.
I would need. I think we might need a musical variation. Reese, I think I'm going to leave that to you. I would like Reese. Maybe give me just a nice musical breakdown, and maybe I don't know. Let's feature you, my friend Reese. There, he's a great sax player.
Okay.
Of Cantina Variation, and what's that's called right there is called passing the buck.
That's right. That's delegating. Yeah.
That delegation is a better way to say
There you
passing
go.
the buck,
Yes.
isn't it? But anyway, so we have our little chat. They get their little gold coins.
And then they walk out
and they
back
walk
into the
out,
public,
and
then
the Gamorreans apparently stopped for a smoke break or something.
So as they leave, the Gamorreans are right behind them.
Right.
They step out of the cantina. Both Gamorreans stop at the cantina door. I don't know what they're protecting. Now they're protecting the cantina and not them for some reason. They take like 10 more steps, and the Gamorreans are like, "We're just going to hang out back here a little bit. It's okay." And then they get surrounded by the red...
dudes with shields.
Yeah, with really cool shields.
Yeah.
My son kept pointing out that a lot of the tech reminded him a lot of the in the Marvel movies, the same shields that the Black Panther.
like Wakanda. sort of
shields.
tech.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he's watching and he goes,
So maybe
"Oh,
this is our link to the Marvel universe.
There
this
we
is
go.
where we can springboard in.
yes,
And they're just going to print money now.
they will." Because now we have a Marvel
Listen,
Star
we've got
Wars.
multiverses happening.
Right.
So why can't there be a Star Wars multiverse?
Exactly. That has Wakanda people in it.
Why not?
And Wakanda people are giving them their
Would you call them Wakandans?
Wakandans?
Wakandians?
Wakandians?
I think
Wakandites?
Wakandans.
Wakandans? I think Wakandans. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is, yeah. So they get surrounded. Now, this whole fight scene,
It's superfluous because he could have just said, I'm going to fly above you and...
he
blow
has
you
a
up."
jetpack on.
Like, what are you doing, man?
Jump.
Hey, I can't go forward.
No.
I can't go back.
I hit...
Left or right.
I launched rockets from my wrist to a shield that's 5 feet away from me and knocked me over. I dropped my helmet. Little Jawas and kids in the street grab the coins, but don't take the Mandalorian helmet.
No, Beskar.
Beskar.
Oh, yeah. Man in a Beskar, a priceless
Yes.
metal.
Yes. Nope. Leave that. Take all the coins, which I get, kind of. You
Sure,
take
they
the
don't know
coins.
it's Beskar
Right.
necessarily. Sure.
But if you're going to take the coins, take the helmet with it. Why not? Take the whole thing.
Right? Why take him out when you can just grab the helmet and run?
Yeah, because if you know that he's the domo, if you know that he's the boss,
Sure.
and you're going to take the coins from the boss, then if you're going to, he's going to come after you for the coins, then might as well take the helmet also because he's going to come after you regardless, whatever the case is. So then Gamorreans are nowhere to be found for a good 2 minutes of the fight.
I think the point of them not being there, I guess, was for them to be the Deus Ex Machina of like, hey, remember when Boba Fett shouldn't have done this thing? It paid off.
when he didn't have, what do they call it? His,
Rob rarely cracks it. Oh, he's doing it again. Oh, you caught that one that time. All right. Rob rarely cracks into a second one during
we're
a
only
show.
halfway through this episode.
Yeah, right? Oh, man. Get ready. Hold on to your butts. But so yeah, I think the big that was a sin. Like I think about this every now and then, where like I'm watching a show and I go, I can't enjoy this because I think too much about why they do things.
Yes.
Like it's very clear that the Gamorreans showed up at the last second as a big emotional payoff for Boba trusting them and giving them another chance.
Yes.
And that's supposed to be like yet another version of him going, learn their ways and respect their culture and let the Sand People thing. But like, it was very clearly done for dramatic effect, and it kind of took me out of the moment a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, come on. I'm like, first off, you could have jetpacked up and over them, and then rocket launched them.
And this is after we've already seen him go crazy.
Yeah.
In The Mandalorian. So we know this isn't before that. We know he's already a beast.
We know he's a beast. So he could have done that. He's taken all these fights and stuff, and then so then the Gamorreans come, they help him out, they get out of the fight, but 3 of them start to run away. 3 of the bad guys start to run away.
Right.
One of them runs away, and he uses his rocket launcher and blows him up right against the wall.
Yeah, he's just gone. There's a rocket, there's an explosion, and there's no more person.
Right, and then it's just
gone.
Dust, it's just dirt there. And then Fennec jumps up onto the wall the way they did, and he says, keep him alive.
All he said is alive.
Alive.
Which is a pretty cool way to say it.
It is, but it made Trey laugh because he was like, he just blew that guy up.
Hey, I already blew one up. We only got 2 left.
Keep at least one of them. And then the next scene, I could only explain. Hopefully you can hear this. No. Oh, shit. I just turned my computer off. Darn it.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
We might lose Rob here. Looks like he's still in there. And Rob, we just got demonetized.
I know.
I'm still seeing you, though, man.
All right.
You're in there.
Okay, so let's see if... Let me see. I need to turn this speaker up. I don't know if you can hear this. Let's see if you can hear it.
Parkour! Parkour! Extreme! Parkour!
This is Parkour, internet sensation of 2004, and it was in one of the Bond films. It's pretty impressive. The
Backflip
goal is to
Gainer.
go from point A to
Backflip
point
Gainer.
B as creatively
Gainer!
as possible. So technically they are doing parkour as long as point A is delusion and point B is
The hospital.
The hospital.
Parkour.
Parkour. So,
Get off.
get off me.
Get off! Okay. Parkour! Jump over the camera.
Jump over the camera, and he just walks right next to it.
So I should say that Pagan is in chat right now.
Okay.
And she's very upset with you for swearing.
Oh, yes, I'm so
Because
sorry.
Pagan is perhaps our number 1 offender of swearing
Yes.
on our podcast.
So I'm going to have to cut that out when we go to the actual podcast where I swore, but I hit the wrong button. Yep, demerits.
Yeah, if you're listening to us on a podcast app right now, if you want to hear Rob, our own Rob, drop such profanity, you can catch it on our all-exclusive, no-holds-barred YouTube page.
That's right. So the next scene, they go parkouring across the rooftops of Mos Espa.
Indeed.
And the whole time, all I could think of was the Office parkour.
Sure.
I was like, okay. And I think it was interesting. But I'm watching it going, okay, they purposely put that there so they could jump off of that. Yeah. They purposely put that there so they could jump off of that. And it just went back to Jim's quote about parkour being the internet sensation of 2004.
Yeah, it's been almost 20 years now.
Yeah, that was in 2008 when that episode of Office was, and it's now 2021.
Maybe give us something different.
Give us something different than some parkour action.
We don't got to run across rooftops anymore.
Yeah.
It's not Assassin's Creed.
It's not Assassin's Creed. So I was like, oh, man. So that let me down. But, I mean, we saw Fennec, and she looked cool doing the parkour and beating the guys. And it was fun at the end when she kicked the one guy over the wall.
Yes.
And she was
like, all right, I only need one of you.
I only need one. He's gone,
here.
so I'm going to save you. So I'm taking you back.
But that led us back into... the back to tank.
The back to tank,
right?
yes.
Which is our apparently our link to the past.
Yes. So my thing about the Bacta tank is Boba Fett dying?
I mean, it's clear that something's wrong with him, right? Because usually you don't just sleep in a Bacta tank if you're all good. So,
Right.
So that either the Sarlacc really messed him up, or we haven't seen what's messed him up yet.
Yeah.
Is to come. But he got in this fight, and then all of a sudden they had to drag him back to the palace
To Jabba's
drop
palace.
him into the Bacta
Yeah.
tank, which, by the way, was a very public thing. Which,
Yes.
Which in this sort of like
Society.
probably is not going to go over well.
No, because it shows weakness.
Right.
Of him having to be drug off by his two Ugnaughts. So
Right.
it will be interesting to see if there is any backlash from that.
Right, which will compound onto the fact that he was not on a litter, right? And they said,
Right.
you should be riding in a litter to make yourself seem like royalty. So not only was he walking on his own, but he got his ass handed to him by like some shieldy boys.
Thugs, some shieldy thugs. Yeah.
So
It was funny when the owner of that club, when she was like, he was like, "Oh, not on a litter. Oh, I'm so sorry." He's like, "I
Right.
like to walk on my own 2 feet." She was
Yep.
like, "Whatever."
to be fair, Jabba didn't have his own 2 feet.
To be fair, no, Jabba did not have any feet
I
at
say
all.
to be fair a lot, huh?
To be fair,
What is that?
that is from a TV show on Hulu from Canada called Letterkenny.
Letterkenny.
Letterkenny. It's really good. It's a good comedy. And every time somebody says "to be fair," everybody else in the room goes "to be fair,"
Okay.
and then they keep going back and forth with it. So I want, if you're in the chat, if you watch Letterkenny, and when Nick says "to be fair," everybody has to say
fair.
it with me. To be fair.
Now, Pagan does mention something interesting in the chat that I have not really thought about. Is that she said that they moved differently than Fennec. She was more clunky and they were more graceful. But I don't think anyone's really talking about like, oh, they got attacked, but like, I'm assuming we're gonna find out who they got attacked by at some point, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
right now, I mean, I didn't even think about it. I'm just like, oh, he got attacked, like,
Right.
and okay, but like, clearly someone said
there
those
was
dudes.
is talking about the chat. He must have left. If Avengers Hockey is still in the chat, when we play Star Wars Galaxies, the red Crimson Dawn, maybe.
Sure.
Maybe they're part of Crimson Dawn. I don't know,
Okay.
because Crimson Dawn is and what's his name? Ryan Airy, when he broke down one of the trailers,
Sure.
and the girl who runs the cantina had a circle with a line through it, which is a sideways version of the Crimson Dawn
Right.
logo. So wondering if that is Crimson Dawn, since they are red.
Sure.
Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe we'll see more Crimson Dawn. Maybe we won't. It would be pretty cool if we did.
Right.
So
But then we're in the Bacta tank.
Back
and
in the
we're
Bacta
moving
tank.
forward because Nick is on his second whiskey and he has to pee.
there you go.
But we're in the Bacta tank and we get, of course, our so Avengers Hockey says Crimson Marauders.
Crimson Marauders, yes. So they're the ones
interesting.
from Star Wars Galaxies as Crimson Marauders, yes.
Interesting. So I think it's fair to say, based on Mandalorian and everything, that either Dave or John or have done at least a little homework on Star Wars Galaxies.
Yes, because there's been quite a few references to things in Star Wars Galaxies. The Tusken, or not the Tusken, the sand. What was the giant thing they killed at the end of Mandalorian?
The Crate Dragon.
Crate Dragon. Yeah, Crate Dragons are in there and whatever. So yeah. All right. So back to the flashback because Nick has to pee.
Yes. So first of all,
Well, do you want to do this? If you want, we could take a commercial break right now.
a commercial break would be perfect.
All right. So we'll
We're going
take
to
a
take a
commercial
short
break.
commercial break while Nick goes to pee.
Yes, we'll do that.
Is that a thing?
That is,
Commercial
yeah.
breaks now.
For the podcast,
If you're on our live YouTube channel, Nick's going to go pee and Rob is going to
I'm going to do a
sing and
dance
for you.
Yeah. This should be the thumbnail for it. Would be me dancing. Hello. All right. So while Nick is gone, now we can talk about him. Avengers Crimson Dawn was in Solo. Yes, Crimson Dawn was in Solo. Crimson Marauders. I'm just going to read the chat. So right now, everybody just start typing stuff so that I'll just read. I'll be like, what's his name? Ron Burgundy, where I'll just read whatever you write. So go ahead and write something, and then I'll read it. Y'all are sellouts, Pagan DeSalvio said. Y'all are sellouts. So that's what I'm saying is that y'all are sellouts, all of you. Everybody watching, sellout. Crimson Dawn wasn't Solo. good band name was Crimson Marauders, and they did have red shields. So that's that. So you guys are letting me down because you're not writing anything in the chat for me to say. This is your opportunity to make me say whatever I want, whatever you want me to say. Something weird, something strange. Otherwise, stuff. Pagan said stuff. So that's it. I'm saying stuff. Stuff. Something good. I'll say something good. And Nick is back.
So Rob.
Yes, here comes Nick.
A couple things I
Although on my end, the chat is still going. Maybe I.
What happened?
Oh no, I think we're okay.
Jump over the camera.
Oh, that's okay.
So I should say that. So I gotta ask Rob a couple things. Number one, I found this $2 bill in your sink.
Oh yeah, that's my daughter's.
Why was it in the sink in the restroom?
I don't know. She I don't know. It must have been in like pants when she went to the laundry room or something, and then left it on. It was on the sink, and then it must have fallen into the sink. So I don't
Okay,
know.
well, here's your
But there you
$2
go.
bill
That's
back.
a $2 bill.
Pagan says we're sellouts for taking a commercial break.
Avengers. Well, I could be wrong, but I believe Diversity is an old wooden ship.
That's right. Exactly. Oh boy.
So while you were gone, I told them to write stuff, and I'll say whatever they write. So it
Interesting.
took them a while to get to that.
Okay, so Pagan wrote something.
What did Han Solo say to the waiter who recommended the haddock?
What did I don't know, Pagan. What did
I
Han
don't know.
Solo
What did
say
Han
to the
Solo
waiter
say?
who recommended the haddock? You got to be faster than this, Pagan.
Yeah,
We're a live audience.
we're live. We're back.
By the way, there's only
She said MCU and Star Wars have
wait, that's
already
a different
crossed over
person.
a few times. So that's Reese. Reese said that they've crossed over a few times. All right. So yes. So talking about the $2 bill here, there was an old story of a person who was working at a Taco Bell, and first the person wanted to pay using a $2 bill. They wouldn't let them use a $2 bill.
Okay.
And this is when the 20s were switching over to the new 20s.
Sure.
So then they were trying to use a new $20 bill, and then the person was like calling mall security to get them because they're trying
thought
to.
it was
It
counterfeit
was all
or something.
counterfeit. Yeah. So they were like, first, never sell me the CODs.
Oh no.
That was by the
Oh,
beard of
boy.
Zeus. Yeah, that's a Ron Burgundy. All right, so
Oh,
now Nick is
Pagan.
back. We're back from commercial, and we're back.
That's right. Yeah. So, a fun fact there: only once before in our 53 now episode history
Have we had to stop?
to let someone pee, and that was Chris.
Chris was the first one, and now Nick
and
is
now
the second
Nick
one.
is the second one. Right.
That's right. Okay, so we're back to the flashback, and as a flashback, the young Tusken now drags off Boba Fett and the Trandoshan, the Ronian. Rodian. He just drags them away. And we're like, where are we going? As they're dragging away, they see this it's called a house, compound, whatever you want to call it. Homestead is what they call it.
Sure.
And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, are we seeing is this the Lars homestead, or are we seeing the people kill Luke Skywalker's parents or uncle? And I was like,
I would have been too late for that, right?
yeah, I was like, oh no, wait, this is way too late because this is after Return of the Jedi. But basically, what it is showing that this is the mining collective is going around and
Is that what
that was? Yeah, the
was the
double
mining
L's
collective?
was supposed to be the mining collective,
All right.
which we saw them down or either south or north, wherever Cod Vanth's
Cobb
little
Vanth, right.
little town was. So yeah, so they look like the mining collective that was coming and beating up people and taking over. Since right now there's not since Jabba's death, everybody is fractured out into all these
Sure.
little small groups and stuff.
I do want to mention, by the way, that apparently the Sand People employ their children to be prison guards. What is that?
It's a rite of passage.
Like, hey,
you get to watch the
Hey,
guards.
Timmy, do me a favor and watch this violent stranger that we have tied up to the sticks outside.
Yep. You and your dog, your little
Yeah.
pet.
Freaking you and Bowser. Over
Bowser,
there.
the
Listen,
Moffat.
I found that terrifying
Mantis.
reptilian creature way cuter than I should have.
When he was laying down and sleeping, and his arms were under his face, and then he opens his eyes, he looks super cute. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
And then he starts growing.
And then he starts growling and he starts
Less
attacking.
cute.
Yeah,
Less
less cute.
Called a massive. By
Massive.
the way.
That's it. Massive. Yes. So then Boba Fett, he says the word youngling at one point in time.
Yes.
So then the little fella takes him out, to find
Waterberries?
Waterberries?
I don't know what the hell those things are. Like, hey, a couple inches under the sand, there's these weird berries filled with water.
Yeah.
Dig with your hands
Dig with
while
your
I
hands.
take a nap.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay here on a little bit of a berm, so I'm in the shade just a little bit while you're out in the baking two suns. And which, by the way, could they give Boba Fett some sunscreen? Like, I understand, but come on, give the guy some sunscreen. Like,
Yeah.
his skin was
He's all
peeling
cracked
off.
up.
Yeah, he's all.
Aside from the fact that I'm sure some stomach acid seeped into that armor.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So it's a combination.
He
of all
was
that
just
stuff.
wearing that sweatsuit underneath the armor at the time.
Yeah, his onesie. So he said younglings, and then, of course, killing younglings in Revenge of the Sith. We think of that.
I do want to bring up Chris, Chris, we just mentioned you.
Yep.
By the way, Chris is in the chat.
There you go.
He says that creature is approximately 1/3 of a Lester being my dog. But Chris, we just mentioned you because we just had our
crocodile.
second ever occurrence of someone having to leave
To go to the
midstream to go to the
bathroom.
restroom, and that was me.
Yep,
First
you
ever
were the
being
first
you.
one, and then
So
yep.
welcome, Chris. Pagan says that it was a crocodile, which I guess is a crocodile mixed with a Labrador.
There you go.
Which
okay.
I get. Yeah,
that
looks
makes
like a
that makes
crocodile.
sense. So then, as we're digging for sandberries, we happen to find a 4-armed, 6-footed
What is that thing?
lizard monster that just happens to sleep just barely under the sand as well.
Yeah, and like this Rhodian deserves everything he got.
Yeah, his
'Cause,
Rhodian was a
hey,
jerk.
let me keep digging. Hey, what's this scaly thing?
Oh,
Might as well keep digging.
I'm going to keep digging. I'm going to see what it is. Because it doesn't look like bones. It doesn't look like it's something dead. It looks like maybe
Scales.
it's a giant alligator. Let's keep
I wonder if he's friendly.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he's a good guy. Yeah. So it was very.
He reminded me of Goron from Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Or was it Goro? Whatever it was with the 4 arms.
Yeah. So they're saying that it's a throwback to Jason and the Argonauts, which were hugely influential upon a young George Lucas.
Okay. Was that a new creature we saw? They didn't.
I've never seen it before.
I mean,
yeah.
if
And-
you're out there, Doug, if you're listening and you want to fact check us here, I don't know if that's been a Star Wars creature before.
And even I tried looking it up on Wikipedia, and they didn't have a name for it
I
yet
actually,
either.
I think I said to Pagan as we were watching, this is a weird Star Wars creature. Like it was very different
Yes.
than a lot of the wild sort of animal creatures we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and it was
more
clunky.
humanoid, kind of.
Yeah, humanoid, but with extra arms.
Yeah.
And it almost looked like when you
Pagan
have
says the Scorpion King. That's exactly what it reminded me
Yes.
of. The Rock and the Scorpion
the Rock
King.
and the Scorpion King. Yes, it kind of looked like when you have in a cartoon 3 kids sitting on each other's shoulders.
Yes. In a trench coat.
In a trench coat, so they can get into the R-rated movie or whatever. That's what he kind of looked like. He was very, very clunky, very weird. And then I guess you noticed that the chain had extra spikes on it, so that helped out as well. With
Yeah, and it was 100% Chekhov's gun situation because earlier in the scene, Boba mentioned to the Rhodian, "I could choke you with these chains."
Yeah.
And then at the end of the scene, we have Boba choke something with those chains.
those
So
chains.
that was 100% Chekhov's gun. Like, hey, this gun will go off by the end of this scene.
By the
you
end
know
of the
what I mean?
scene, you're going to see this. We're going to use this for something.
And Chris is mentioning, too, that the creature reminded him a little bit of the Kraken from the original Clash of the Titans, and it moved a little claymation-like.
It did move claymation-like, and somebody else said that online also, that it was kind of claymation-esque. But it was, from what I could tell, very CGI.
Yeah, that moment seemed oddly CGI for a Filoni Favreau sort of thing.
and clunky, very very clunky. There was another scene earlier in the when Boba Fett first escapes and starts to run away from the Tusken.
Yeah, he's running real weird, right?
That whole scene with him running and the dog chasing him, all CGI, and
Yeah.
really weird running
Yeah,
too.
his running is like, it seems, and I think I remember Pagan saying like, "Oh well, he was just tied up and stuff," which is like a fun little excuse, but it just seemed
No,
weird.
it seemed, it was like we need 10 more seconds. Let's throw this in here.
And the other thing Pagan mentioned is that when he does actually wind up choking that monster, it is very akin to Leia choking
Yes.
Jabba.
Yes.
And you even get a little bit of the tongue sort of kind of going all twitchy and stuff. So.
And at that part, it almost looked like throwback to your Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, very bad puppeting
Yep.
in guy wearing a puppet suit, Godzilla-esque.
Yep.
Just a dude in a Godzilla suit walking around small buildings.
Yeah, it did seem strange. Like, again, it just
I don't know.
for an entire episode that was really well produced, it seemed like a weird sort
Yes.
of unpolished scene.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah, but apparently, I don't know how they cut the thing's head off. Like, but they managed to get
all
the
the kid
off.
had was a stick.
Yeah.
He didn't have any.
It was a pretty
knives.
clean cut, too.
It was a very clean cut, and I love the kid. Oh, he mentioned Anchorhead when he was talking to the
Right.
Rondinian, saying
So
like,
we're gonna see Anchorhead at some point.
yeah, we're
for
gonna
sure.
get to see it.
And Anchorhead is a spaceport, isn't it?
Yes, so it's Starport. Yeah.
Starport, right?
Yes.
So that's I'd imagine if we mention it again, Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
If he mentioned it, we'll see it. And
We'll
I'd
see
imagine
it.
that's where he goes off world.
Yeah, and also like Mos Espa, I felt looked different than it did. Now maybe I thought they showed Mos Espa before in other things, but it definitely looked a lot different than what I remember. Maybe I just remember Mos Espa from Star Wars Galaxies.
Maybe.
Not being that populated and whatever, but Mos Espa was in Star Wars Galaxies as
Right.
well. Excuse me. Yes, so that was that. And then the kid at the end
Takes all the credit.
takes all the credit.
Look what I did, y'all.
He's like, look at the head. Look, I did this. And then I loved the, whatever the boss
chieftain?
is. The chieftain, thank you. Where the chieftain just stands in front of Boba Fett, takes a drink, and hands it to him like,
Yep.
I know he didn't do this. I know you did this.
Yep.
Here you go. Have some water. Thank you for not letting it kill my son.
Right.
And letting him take all the credit. It was a little weird, the one scene when they came back and Boba Fett was kind of like smiling, like as the kid took credit for it.
Right.
I was like, you're still held captive. You're holding your chain.
Yeah, this isn't a good situation for you.
The kid's taking all the credit for all your work, and you're smiling? Like,
yeah.
I would have, I don't know. I wouldn't have been smiling. I would have been a little angry. But whatever. It was what it was. So that ended the flashback and ended the episode.
And again, this just it could have if they wanted to create that same sort of buzz that the Mandalorian made, that's the moment to have something to hook us.
Yes.
And there's no hook. There's like a nice, neat little bow put on the end. It's over now.
It's over. That was the first episode.
But like, there's no like yeah, I want to see it. It's Boba Fett. It's gonna be awesome. But like, there's nothing that's like, oh my god, I need to answer this question.
Right. There's no lingering what ifs other than the mayor of Mos Espa. Like, so we know there's going to be something with that, but that's nothing huge. Like, oh my gosh, a 50-year-old baby. What is this bounty hunter going to do with him?
Right.
You know, because at the end of the first episode of the Mandalorian, like, he could have very easily just given him away, got his money, and been done with it. And
yeah, there was a moral dilemma that we had to wonder about.
And there's no moral dilemma in this at all.
And that's the other thing too, is that Boba Fett is all of a sudden, I'd imagine in the next couple episodes we're gonna see it change. We're only watching this with the lens that we have, but like, Boba Fett's a good guy now,
right? Is Boba?
Because he's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy.
So like, and he's a crime lord.
Now he's a crime lord, which is even more of a bad guy.
They've got to start showing us that fine line.
Yes.
Like, he can't be a good guy and a crime lord.
Right.
And he can't be a good guy really and have the fans continue to believe. He can be a crime lord that deals in respect and deals in honor. But I think we're going to need to, because I even wrote down here the softer side of Fett.
Yeah.
We're going to need to see the harder side of Fett at some point this season if people are going to continue to believe it.
And it can't be all Fennec doing all the enforcement.
Right.
It's got to be him. We got to see him get fully healed in the back of the tank or something, because we need to see that Boba Fett that we saw wearing a dress at the end of the Mandalorian. Dad bod Boba. We need to see that Boba who goes back and kicks butt and whatever. Like, so far all we saw was Boba get beat up. Mos Espa had the pod races in it in episode 1.
So the Bantha Eve Classic is held in Mos Espa, which makes sense. That would make it a more populated city than Mos Eisley or anything like that. So.
Yeah. So all right.
And then that is the end of chapter 1, A Stranger in a Strange Land.
So overall, I liked it.
Yeah, it was great. It did not leave me with the same excitement as the premiere to Mandalorian did.
Right.
It didn't give me the same sort of like, oh, I can't wait till next. I'm excited for next week, but again, I don't have anything to chew on for next week. Nothing to think about. Nothing that I'm really wondering about.
Yeah, exactly. There's no big overhang other than how much of a boss is he going to be or whatever. I guess maybe the big thing is he going to survive? Is that the big hook at the end of every episode? Is he going to go back into the Bacta tank at the end of every episode?
Oh, that would be an interesting kind of. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like but then that would just get boring after a while.
Yeah.
That's like.
I mean, it's the Book of Boba Fett, and so far as we know, it's going to be a multi-season thing. So the question of is he going to survive? Probably.
Yeah, because if we're gonna have a second season, then he's not gonna die.
Yeah. They're not going to have the Book of Boba Fett starring Ming-Na Wen.
Right.
The
Book of Fennec.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, well.
But that's that. We finally have yet another episode in the books of both another live-action Star Wars and the Bantha Milk podcast.
Yes.
So you can pretty much bet that now that we've got some regular content churned out by Disney Plus, you're going to have some regular content churned out by us at Bantha Milk.
Yes.
Right? So please make sure you are telling your friends about us. Tell your friends, hey, we've got this really great podcast, and Rob is growing his beard out again.
Yes.
And they're going to break it down and talk to us about all the fun stuff happening. Do we know, are they going to be on Tuesdays? Or are they going to be on Fridays? Do we know?
Well, I mean, when did this come out? This came out on a Wednesday,
right?
And that's when all of the MCU stuff was coming out on Wednesdays.
But Mandalorian was Fridays.
Mandalorian was Fridays. Oh, you know what? Let's see. So I can tell
Rob's
you.
Gonna look it up.
I can tell you why.
That's nice.
The Book of Boba Fett. Thanks. So 7 episodes. Episode 1 comes out
December 29th.
December 29th. Episode 2, Chapter 2, comes out on January 5th.
So that's Wednesday.
January 5th is another Wednesday.
So I guess we're going for Wednesday.
Looks like we're going for Wednesdays. 5/12/1926. 5/12/1926. Yep, February 2 and February 9. So coming out on Wednesdays. Wednesday.
So
we're coming at you.
It is Wednesday right now, so you can pretty much guess that our reactions and our breakdown episodes will be out Wednesday evenings, barring some sort of catastrophe.
Yep.
And then we will be talking all sorts of Star Wars here on Bantha Milk Podcast. And then we've got a lot of stuff coming up. We've got Cassian coming out, or the Andor series. We've got the Obi-Wan series coming soon. We got season 3 of Mandalorian coming soon. So we should have a
spoiler alert. We know when it's coming out.
Do we?
Yep, 2022.
2022. That's right. Just like we've known for the past year and a half. Oh boy. But that's been another episode in the books, and I got to tell you, just like always, much longer than I ever expect it to be.
Yep,
we always have some banter.
We have a lot of good banter.
Yeah, but aside from that, you have any other news for the greater good here?
I didn't even look at any news because I was so busy. I watched it 3 times today.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I watched it when I got up, and then watched it a second time because I wanted to see what I missed.
Sure.
And then my son came downstairs because he woke up, bright and early at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sure, good.
And said,
Winter break.
Yep. And said, hey, did you watch it yet? I said, yes. He goes, oh, well, do you want to watch it again? I said,
yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
I only watched it the one time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll have to catch up to you a little bit.
Yeah, because I wanted to enjoy it once and then take notes a second time.
Gotcha.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what I did instead of doing
So,
both at one time.
If you watched and you have any thoughts that we didn't bring up, or else you have any comments, concerns, conundrums, queries for us here at Bantha Milk Podcast, please reach out to us.
Please
We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we are on email, we are on MySpace, we are on Zango, we are on LiveJournal. I don't think we're on those last ones, but either way, we're going to be coming at you with more Book of Boba Fett action shortly, probably within the next week. And from all of us here at Bantha Milk headquarters, we have spoken.